People should definitely attend the Long Beach Playhouse New Works Festival because the Long Beach Playhouse is showing itself as an organization that is not afraid to experiment and try new types of plays, new ways of engaging the audience. People want to get back out there now that the pandemic seems to be receding. And theater has to find a way to engage people in new ways. And I think Long Beach Playhouse is doing that. I know that my play, Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, is an unusual play, one that people will find engaging, and I think it'll be worth your while to check it out. So please come. My name is Chuck Cummings. I'm the playwright of Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, the winner of the New Works Festival at the Long Beach Playhouse. If you want to know more about my play or about the festival, listen to this recording. I heard about the festival about a year ago now, and the moment I heard about it, I was thinking to myself, oh, wow, that would be a fantastic place to have my piece read. Part of it was geographic proximity because I wanted to be available in case I was needed. I also wanted my friends to be able to come. And since I live here in Southern California and the reading is here in Southern California, that made it something that I was really, really interested in. And I have a friend who had a production at Long Beach Playhouse a long time ago, and I had been there and I had seen a production there. I forget exactly which production it was, but it's a place that I knew, and it's a place that I knew would be willing to embrace the not quite experimental, but different elements of this play. This is not a straightforward play. It's not experimental, but it is not using the normal structures and tropes that one expects in plays. So I literally, when I got the email saying that my play was one of the winners of the New Works Festival, I literally gasped and just was really happy. Let me first mention that the play, Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, yes, Annotated is part of the title, and you'll see if you come see the reading. It's about an actual visit that Billie Holiday, the jazz singer, made to a photographer named Carl Van Vechten, who lived in Manhattan. This visit at Carl Van Vechten's Central Park West apartment happened in 1949. And I'm exploring not only what happened in terms of the fireworks between the two of them, the friction between the two of them, the night of the photo shoot at the apartment, but some greater truths. And this particular idea has probably been percolating at some level in my head for close to 20 years. Yeah, 20. He said 20, 20. Because I saw an art exhibit of the photographs of Carl Van Vechten long time ago at a museum in Miami. And I was just struck by this documentation of people like Ella Fitzgerald and Paul Robeson and Billie Holiday and others. And that was basically the seed that eventually turned into Billie Sits for Carl. So I guess that's it's also a statement about how sometimes I write fast and sometimes I don't. Sometimes things just take a while before they really click. And then I really have to get it out. So basically, in the fall of 2021 was when the idea really came back to me again. And so it took me about 6 months to get the play together, 6-7 months. But that's what Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated is. It's basically a seed that started germinating 20 years ago. The main characters, as I mentioned before, are Billie Holiday and Carl Van Vechten, and they actually did meet on, I think it was March 23rd, 1949, for a photo shoot that lasted all night. In the real story, also there was the wife of Carl Van Vechten, Fanya Marinoff. She is in this play. And also the assistant / occasional lover of Carl Van Vechten, Saul Maraber. He was also there that night. And there's also an additional character in this play, the playwright, who is manipulating what happens on this particular night. So the general story arc is that when Billie Holiday arrives, there are certain types of pictures that Carl Van Vechten wants to get from her. Specifically, one of the things that I found in my research was, and this is spoiler alert for anyone who's interested, it's just a reading, so there's no such thing as spoilers spoiling readings. But one of the things I found is that Carl Van Vechten, this married gay man, also sometimes liked to take photographs of women's breasts. And there are a couple of pictures, for example, of Carl Van Vechten doing topless photos of this old Broadway / movie star named Pearl Bailey, who was, very famous in the latter half of the 20th century. And so within the construct of the play, that's one of Carl's goals with Billie. Will he be able to get her to go that far? But of course, this is also the playwright speaking. I'm talking about the playwright in the play. So you can't necessarily believe what the playwright is manipulating these characters to do. But the overall arc is about this photo session and what will happen in this photo session. And it touches on my love for non-cliched, non-traditional goals in theater. I certainly appreciate the plays that can tug my heartstrings and make me cry. I'm an easy crier. So, there are commercials on television that bring me close. But I'm not trying to do that in this play. I'm actually hoping that this particular play will stimulate certain conversations, some about race, but actually more about truth and manipulation of truth, and what is appropriate and what is not appropriate in terms of our manipulation of truth. I mean, our whole lives depend on stories, which are manipulations of truths. All of our lives are dependent on stories which manipulate us and aren't necessarily true. George Washington did not chop down a cherry tree, even though we were taught that as kids. So there is an exploration of what's appropriate in terms of the manipulation of truth. But even more than that, what's interesting is that one of my guiding principles in playwriting is I want people to be entertained. I know it's a bad word, but I want people to step out of that theater with a renewed knowledge and interest in the characters that were on the stage, and also a feeling of, hey, that was worth my 2 hours or whatever. So I know that that's an odd thing for a playwright to say, but I do want the experience to be worthwhile to the audience. It's a wonderful, horrifying experience that's happened to me before. When I am sitting in the audience and a piece of mine is being read or performed, it's like my blood pressure drops. I start to freeze. I actually start to shiver at times, which is really interesting because I'm a playwright. I'm hidden. It's like I'm not an actor. I mean, I could not handle it probably if I were an actor. But I'm completely tuned in to the audience's reactions. And so I am looking forward to hearing the audience's reactions, B, I'm interested in what the actors and director bring to the words, because the way that the play is constructed, again, anyone who goes, and I do encourage you to go, it's going to be interesting. There's an odd construction of language, an odd use of language that I use in this play. And I want to hear what the actors do with that language to see whether or not it works, because ultimately, the words on the paper mean nothing. They have to be able to be used by the actors. So I want to see, how that turns out. And there's a panel discussion afterward, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I've already gotten a set of notes from Long Beach Playhouse, and the notes were excellent. They were very perceptive and told me a few things that I will be using, when I tweak the play going forward. But I really am looking forward to hearing the audience's reactions, the actors' interpretations, and just seeing what happens during the panel discussion. People should definitely attend the Long Beach Playhouse New Works Festival, because the Long Beach Playhouse is showing itself as an organization that is not afraid to experiment and try new types of plays, new ways of engaging the audience. People want to get back out there now that the pandemic seems to be receding. And theater has to find a way to engage people in new ways. And I think Long Beach Playhouse is doing that. I know that my play, Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, is an unusual play, one that people will find engaging, and I think it'll be worth your while to check it out. So please come. I just want people to understand about the play that it is still a work in progress. I say that just in terms of letting people know that nothing is locked, and I consider a New Works Festival to be an integral part of the life of this play, to see where it needs to go next. I like the play a lot as it is, but I'm not vain enough to think that there are not things that I haven't seen, that there are not things that I haven't really understood that I need to correct. So I'm excited about this reading as part of a process that started 20 years ago, perhaps, with me seeing these photographs of Carl van Vechten, and a process that's going to go beyond the reading, but the reading is a major milestone in this process. I encourage people to come to the reading at the Long Beach Playhouse, and if you're an artistic director somewhere and are interested in doing a full production of Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, let me know. Hey, you can even contact me through my website. I wonder how you get to my website. So I would love to have a full production of this play. There are certain elements of the play, in fact, that won't be present during the reading. I negotiated with the Carl van Vechten Foundation to actually use his photos in the play, but the reading is all about the words of the play. So although in a full production, there are many photos which are going to be displayed for dramatic reasons, they won't be present in the reading at the Long Beach Playhouse. But I fully encourage and fully hope for a full production at some point in time. Hi, my name is Chuck Cummings. I'm the playwright of Billie Sits for Carl, Annotated, which is one of the winners of the Long Beach Playhouse New Works Festival, and will be having a reading on March 31st at 7 p.m., and I want you to be there. See you at the theater.